Ребят, всем привет, с вами Ярый. Сегодня вышел новый геймплей Мафии 3. Тут играют какие-то американцы 21 минуту. Но он у нас выйдет в две части. А на ВК, в группе у меня ВКонтакте, я сниму полный геймплей. На YouTube в две части, на ВК одна большая. Ну что ж, давайте начнем смотреть геймплей. Это реальная игра, то есть уже кто-то играет.
Lincoln moving down our version of Bourbon Street in this southern city, very iconic southern city here. Again, one of the things you'll notice about Lincoln, potentially by the shirt he's wearing, he's a Vietnam vet. So he's just returned from Vietnam when the events of the game begin. So he is a trained soldier, and that really gives him an edge when he takes on the mob, which is one of the kind of key components of the story. Lincoln's also a criminal. Before he went to Vietnam, he was part of the Black Mob, again in our version of New Orleans. Yeah. When he comes back, he falls back in with the Black Mob, and through the course of the game, they get betrayed by the Italian mob. So here, this takes place about 2/3 of the way through the game. Lincoln is on his mission to take down the Italian mob and build a new mob, kind of on the ashes of the old, build a new family. And one of the ways he's doing that is by taking down various criminal rackets. So okay. He's learned throughout the course of the game that there is a drug dealing operation going on in the back alleys of the French ward, in places like this cemetery, and he can go ahead and head into the cemetery and hunt down informants to find out information about the mob and the racket, maybe get involved in a little bit of a firefight, all in the process of working his way up to some of the crime bosses that run the drug operation in the city.
Right. So now I'm a big fan of the series. Illusion Softworks did the first two games, and now, but it's been taken in house here at your studio at Hangar 13, which is a lot of former 2K Marin folks. And what sort of what have you sort of tried to keep from the first two games, and what sort of have you made concerted attempt to kind of evolve and update or change?
Sure, yeah. So
Кстати,
again,
ребята,
we're all
довольно
very,
интересно.
we're watching all this combat. It's kind of
Звуки
hard to
от
focus. So
выстрела
one of the things
вообще
you'll notice about Lincoln,
хорошие.
I think, right away is that, again, he does move like a soldier. One of our monsters on the team is on the battlefield, so yeah. We really want you to feel like you move like
Кстати,
a trained
как вы
soldier.
видите, у них на карте регенерация здоровья, все это как в GTA 5.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things we learned when we were doing research. We met with some combat vets, and that's one of the first things they learn is to shoot with both hands, so that they never expose themselves in out of cover. There's another new mechanic that we have in the game that's new to the franchise, which is we call Drive Like a Madman. It's a way to interrogate informants.
Это, видать,
So here we'll
ему
throw this
надо
guy in the car
украсть или
and
что-то
drive like a
такое.
madman. But when we're talking about driving, this is a good maybe segue into one of the things that we really tried to keep true to Mafia 2. So I think Mafia 2 is known for its really engaging story, and I believe that we have a pretty strong narrative in the game. Again, focusing on this character who's an orphan and a Vietnam vet and trying to find a new family. We also wanted to create a sense of time and place, so hopefully the city feels like our version of New Orleans. And then the driving model is still very much a physics-based driving model, but we did push the boundaries a little bit. We want you to feel like you're a stuntman in a Hollywood action movie. So some of the reactions are a little bit outsized. We'll see a little bit later some a little bit of car combat that we really tried to focus on.
Понятно, они видосы обрезают.
The other thing that we tried to do is make sure that everything was integrated. So it's truly an open world game in the sense that you are out exploring the open world and engaging in the criminal ecosystem of this open world. Here's an example of that where I've learned that this drug den through the course of that interrogation.
Знаете, ребят, для меня бы даже 20 минут в начале, когда эта игра еще не вышла, да, поиграть бы в нее. Когда она еще не вышла, хотя бы 20 минут. Они ее тестируют, понравится им, нет.
I could have gone in guns blazing there, but that would have attracted a lot of attention and the cops. But that's something I could do if I had maybe muscle with me or was better armed.
Ой, ребята.
I don't. That might have been an
удар от ножа
overreaction.
тот прям
That's an
вообще.
example of one of our takedowns in the game, so you unlock those as you go throughout the game.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I've actually played. Like I said, I've actually reviewed both the first two games, and really, I was a big fan of both Mafia 2 in particular. But the two things that sort of stood out for me on one of the plus side for Mafia 2 was just the unbelievable art direction, and I'm already seeing that here, like some amazing lighting.
Офигеть.
Just the sort of the light mist haze.
Right.
It really looks like that technologically here you're just pushing a lot of atmosphere into the game, which I like a lot. And then on the flip side, you know, the kind of the big downside for me to more lighting here to Mafia 2 was that it was a great story instead of this open world, but it was like there wasn't a lot to do in that open world. So are you guys looking to rectify that this time around?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of our, again, very first pillars was how do we make sure you feel like you are in an
Геймплей
open world
довольно
that you can
интересный,
explore, that you
ребят.
can engage with. But how do we do it in a way that makes you feel like you're always making forward progress? So
Right.
everything we do is kind of connected to Lincoln's quest to take down the mob or rebuild his own, you know, kind of criminal empire. So, you know, whether that is, again, finding guys to interrogate, doing open world activities that help fund your criminal operations, destroying hideouts. We have a number of hideouts in the game. This is an example, actually, of a hideout.
So this is an example of a dead guy right here.
Yeah, right. So we do, we are supporting stalking in the game. That's one of the other kind of mandates for us is we want you to be able to approach these hideouts multiple different ways. So whether that's going in guns blazing or being a little bit more stealthy here, ultimately it all kind of culminates in kind of big takedowns. But we want you to have that ability to kind of stalk your way through as well. Yeah, so there's a character named Doc Gaston who runs this hideout, so we have to take out in order to assign this hideout out to one of our guys to take over. So here again, you'll see a little bit of some of our hot combat and Lincoln kind of moving through the space, swapping weapons. We do have kind of a very good weapon churn model where you're encouraged to switch weapons a lot. We do have fairly aggressive AI as well. They will come after you, hunt you down.
I just lost my train of thought. I was going to
Такая
ask
вот
you.
жестокость
I believe I
вообще
remember
нашего главного героя мне прям нравится.
Are there multiple endings? Am I remembering that correctly? You guys aiming for sort of some multiple path things here?
Yeah. So again, one of the things that we founded Hangar 13
Как он
on
не
was this
сдох
idea
из
that we really want to
дробовика.
build games where people feel that every player story or every player experience is unique.
Yeah.
For me, that's really the joy of working in games and this kind of interactive medium is that we get to allow the player to be kind of co-author in the experience. So whether that's the moment to moment, like here, do I go through stalking? What weapon do I use? Do I use takedowns? Or the way that I decide to dole out territory, which has a big impact in the game. So throughout the course of the game, you recruit 3 lieutenants, and you can assign out territories to them as you go throughout the game. And that will change the way that they interact with you, the types of services they provide to you, and ultimately the endings of the game as well.
Nice.
The player has some other decisions along the way as well.
Видно, что это кто-то играл, потому что по сравнению с прошлыми геймплеями, точнее с прошлым, он один вышел, но теперь 2. По сравнению с прошлым геймплеем это отстой. Не это, а прошлый геймплей просто отстой. По сравнению вот с этим. Вот этот геймплей вообще классный.
Mafia 2 and just build off that tech, or is this
Ух
like an all new
ты!
engine here?
Yeah, so we did build off of some pieces of the tech from Mafia 2. One of the things that we want to make sure is clear is that we do have a number of folks from Mafia 2 that worked on that game, working on this game. A lot of the artists, for example, when you talk about the great art direction, a lot of that comes from environment artists who worked on.
Я сейчас еще больше эту игру хочу.
A lot of the engineers worked on Mafia 2 as well. So we do have a lot of pieces from Mafia 2 that we were able to expand.
Я бы взял ПП Томпсона вместо дробовика на их месте.
Shows how old I am. I called them Illusion Softworks. 2K check, I guess, would be the more modern terminology. But are there any sort of
Говорят, что игра будет полностью локализована на русский язык.
nativity stuff throughout the game? Because obviously you've got an African American
Это,
hero
то есть
set in a
место
time period and a place where
захватили,
there
то
were
есть
certainly
Линкольна вот пригнали его тачку.
issues there.
Right. Yeah, we do. I mean, we're not shying away from it at all. It is 1968. You are Lincoln's actually mixed race.
А это
He's
место
half
Линкольн
black
захватил.
and the other half he's unsure of. But that factors into the story. It factors into the narrative. It factors into the way that the world reacts to you, depending on where you're at.
Right.
The police system, in particular, will sometimes react to Lincoln based on where he's at in the world. So we're not shying away from it at all. Again, we're not trying to get up on a soapbox or pure racism here, but if we get people to think about it, I think we'll have done our job.
That's great. More games need to do that.
Yeah, and give some of it's we're trying to be authentic to the time period. Yeah. So here, again, an action example of a little bit of combat and car combined there. So we really wanted to make shooting from cars accessible. One of the things we did for this demo, because it was our first kind of unveiling of the game, is we wanted to end with a bang. So you will be able to blow up cars in the game, but it will require things like this, grenade launcher. You will be able to do some of those takedowns that we saw earlier as well, but it's not every car is going to explode when you bump into them.
Well, good. I'm glad you've set the expectation.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to make it. That is a great early look at Mafia 3. What's the general ballpark? What are we aiming for here?
2016.
Just general 2016. We'll be keeping a very close. Public is getting a look at some extended gameplay of Mafia 3. You showed off more or less this behind closed doors to the media at Gamescom.
That's right.
This is where all the preview coverage, including that on IGN, came from. But it's great to actually see it. So this is I have never seen this before.
Right.
This is me seeing it. So I guess the before I start just reacting to things, go ahead and just catch us up. Gamescom was a little while ago now. Elevator pitch version, go.
Sure. So in Mafia 3, you play a guy named Lincoln Clay. The time is 1968 in our version of New Orleans. So you can see here, this is Lincoln moving down our version of Bourbon Street in this southern city, very iconic southern city here. Again, one of the things you'll notice about Lincoln, potentially by the shirt he's wearing, he's a Vietnam vet. So he's just returned from Vietnam when the events of the game begin. So he is a trained soldier, and that really gives him an edge when he takes on the mob, which is one of the kind of key components of the story. Lincoln's also a criminal. Before he went to Vietnam, he was part of the Black Mob, again in our version of New Orleans.
Yeah.
When he comes back, he falls back in with the Black Mob, and through the course of the game.
Вот, ребята, в принципе, мне кажется, это и есть весь геймплей, который им разрешили поиграть, они просто его сейчас повторяют. Ну что ж, ребята, всем спасибо за просмотр, ставьте большие пальцы вверх, подписывайтесь на канал, подписывайтесь на мою группу ВК. Всем спасибо, всем пока.